living room with Viki.
I'm Alexander.
And we are here to talk about playing cards and television. I have
The real
recently.
meaning of the playing cards and how we can apply that to the world around us. And we're going to use the example of Love Island. These source cards were once known as the Book of Life. They come out of the Tree of Life and the Flower of Life. This is an ancient language of life to help us understand the reality of life on Earth.
Okay, so Love Island, the UK version, season 12. Veronica, I want to thank you for introducing this show to me. I've become quite enamored by it. Like I'm in, and it's a lot of fun. And so now it has become the topic of conversation in this house a lot. And
I hear all about the characters, and I'm not watching the show, although I can't escape it really. I walk through the living room and it's on. My daughter's watching it now as well. So I hear about it, and we started talking about who's with who's not with who, and then out of our curiosity and our own interest in this topic, we started wondering what are their birthdays. Because based on your birthday, you have a hand of cards to play. You have a birth card, a personality card, and a whole set of cards. And based on these cards, we can predict who's well suited, pun intended, for who. And
getting the cards.
Here we are to shed some light on the love dynamics of Love Island.
My favorite topic is well, I do love love, and I love seeing how people connect. I love the relationship dynamics. That is one of my favorite topics to talk about. And you can see relationship dynamics according to the cards. We have 13 plus cards to play in what's called our life path based on our date of birth. And you can see how those cards play off of each other and what the dynamics are. And yeah, it's really fun, really exciting.
So I'll give you a quick example in that I'm born to play the Nine of Hearts based on math, and Vicky's born to play the Five of Diamonds based on math. And the Five of Diamonds is the Venus card in the life path of the Nine of Hearts. It would mean that in the cards, Vicky and I have the Venus connection, a love connection. This is a show, Love Island, who really has a love connection and who doesn't. It's very easy to get confused, especially when you're young and everybody's sexy and good looking. They all got hot bodies.
So sexy. They're all so sexy.
Like,
oh
where's
God.
the actual love connection, and which maybe is a lust connection, right? We could say that.
Yes.
Which is
seen a lot of that.
Conditioning, programming, like who you were conditioned, who's your type, and you hear about that on the show. I've certainly heard that, from Vicky and from my daughter, like people talking about who their type is, and there's not my type, she's my type. Often I've noticed that that's actually not accurate for who is a real love match. It's past conditioning, programming, upbringing, that you have a type. So what the cards do is they show who is actually a good love match. And that's what we're going to get into. Without further ado. So where are we starting? Who are we starting with?
Let's start with Meg and Dejan, who I adore, the two of them. I find all of the people on there to be quite likable. I think everybody's really likable for the most part. There might be like one in there that's can drive everybody crazy, and there's a lot of drama. But they're really likable people, and they really care about each other. I mean, the last episode I watched, like they were, so emotional and crying. Even the guys, getting really emotional, which is just lovely to see.
I'll say one other thing about it, that I am not interested in watching it, and yet, even though people may talk about it as trash TV, that kind of is the way it was introduced to us. Like, this is trash TV, it's just pure trash. I don't see it that way, actually. I see it as a way for human beings to learn to have more emotionally intelligent romantic dynamics. You may not have thought of it that way before, because I think most people do think of it as trash TV. But think about the fact that these couples, they're young and they're sexy, they're hot, but these couples are under the microscope, under the camera, learning how to navigate their own feelings, learning how to talk about their feelings intelligently, and do it with grace and do it with dignity and in front of the cameras, no less. And I would imagine that there are a lot of people out there who do not know what it's like to have an emotionally intelligent conversation, especially around love or romance. And so watching these young people kind of fumble and bumble their way through it, and maybe not always, maybe they do it, beautifully. Viki, you can talk about that in a minute. But nonetheless, it's a learning experience on camera for most of society to learn how to have emotionally intelligent conversations under difficult circumstances. And that's a great teaching tool, I would say, for humanity. And that's my interest in Love Island, is how it's actually educating people to have a more intelligent conversations about love, romance, and to even know what to do and how to handle it. Well, what do you do in such a situation? So I think it's very educational for a lot of people.
I agree. And I feel like, it's, watching them. First of all, I have no idea what it's like to experience what they're going through. So I can't even imagine. But, some of the people can get really defensive about things and very sensitive about things. So it's like, as an observer, like navigating that and seeing what that is for you in response to what they're going through. How does that feel like to watch that even? So, yeah.
All right. So,
All
first
right.
couple we're going to look
So
at.
Meg is playing. Well,
What's
okay.
her birthday?
Her birthday is September 23rd, but I also saw that it was September 26th. So we also talked about that, right? Like we talked about how, based on, because you saw a lot of the episodes with her, based on like how she was responding to things, what which of those birthdays do we think is
So
her
this is
birthday?
interesting. That I mean, Vicky's doing her best research to find out what the people's birthdays, and in her case, only one birthday actually matches her behavior. That
Right.
makes sense.
And also I felt like I you can really feel the connection with her and Dejan, and one makes more sense as far as their connection as well. So
So we're
she's
going with
we're
September
going with ace
23rd.
the ace of clubs, 10 of spades. You want to talk a little bit about what those cards mean?
Well, let's talk about what Dejan. Let's bring in Dejan.
Okay, Dejan is September 22nd, and he is playing two of clubs, king of clubs.
Okay, so I'll hold up his cards and you hold up her cards.
Okay.
So the
Meg.
Dejan is two of clubs with a king of clubs personality, and you have
Ace of clubs, 10 of spades.
ace of clubs, 10 of spades.
So clubs represent the mind, and so she is playing an ace of the mind, and he's playing a two, which is about partnerships of the mind. The ace is about initiating knowledge, initiating information, being a fire starter. She's definitely fiery in her personality.
And the two is about being a good conversationalist and being a good team player or partner. And notice that the ace of clubs and the two of clubs are consecutive, one and number two. And whenever you see a relationship where the numbers are consecutive like that, it could be the 7 and the 8 or the 9 and the 10. In this case, it's the ace and the 2, the 1 and the 2. Whenever you see that, there's a good connection. There's a natural intimacy whenever the two numbers are right next to each other
and
like that.
that's in the same suit.
In the same suit.
It's, if it's a 7 and an 8, it needs to be in the same suit. 7 diamonds, 8 of diamonds, or ace of clubs, 2 of clubs. Then they have what's called the moon connection. It's a very nurturing connection, supportive connection, and it's on a soul level. I see it on a soul level, like a soulmate kind of connection that they have.
And yet they're not in each other's life path. So we're getting a little technical right away on this. For those of you who know the cards, you'll understand what we're talking about. If you don't, this is a little more technical. But in layman's terms, they are not in each other's life path, which means there can be distance between them. They would have to work hard to make themselves understood to each other, even though they have what's we can call a soul level intimacy, like they know each other on a soul level. In their life, in their lived earthly incarnational experience, there's going to be distance between them. It's going to be challenging for them to make themselves understood to each other. And have you seen that play out in their dynamics?
There's been, they're together a lot, and then like when a couple times other women have come into the picture, and he can be like, he's exploring and he's like super flirtatious, but then goes back to her. Like, so there's like a he's super flirtatious. Like, finally realized, like, wow, he just really likes to flirt.
Well, the two of clubs can be codependent. I don't know if there's that aspect. Like once he's attached, he's attached.
Oh, interesting.
And if he's
Interesting.
attached to her, then yes, he would, to a club's energy, they would come back and stay attached for better and for worse. It can be codependent or it can just be loyal. There can be a loyalty there. But with his personality of the King of Clubs can be ladies' men. They they all kings can be like that. The King of Clubs, like they like the ladies, and women would be
Yes,
attracted to
he
that
likes the lady.
masculine authority that he would project with a King of Clubs persona. And it's kind of like the cliche of what women want, that strong man, who
Mm,
strong
mm.
male figure. And that's what with that King of Clubs persona he would project. Have you seen that on the show? Does that show up?
Yeah, he definitely, he's has a commanding presence. And I do feel like he's super flirtatious, but then he does, like, he says my Meg, he goes back to Meg. Um, yeah, I do see that.
Okay. We move on. We got more to say. Vicky's got her notes. Got a lot of
Well,
notes.
what was interesting is, like, he met this other girl at one point, Melisha, and he had also a really good connection with Melisha. This is Melisha's Nine of Diamonds, Seven of Spades.
So Nine of Diamonds, Seven of Spades, in many ways, actually is a better match for him. The Nine of Diamonds, Seven of Spades, and the life path. That would be a stronger connection. Were there fireworks when they met, so
I
to
mean,
speak?
yes, and yet I still feel the stronger connection with Meg. I think it's because of the club connection. Like, they're both clubs.
But Nine of
Um,
Diamonds to the Two of Clubs, they have that Venus
yeah,
connection.
yeah,
So
they
whoever
do.
Militia was, that would have been a love. That would have been a Love Island connection, people, because that's the love connection.
Yes, but I've also seen people married for an incredibly long 30-year marriages where people marry what's called their moon with the consecutive numbers, like the one of clubs, the ace of clubs to the two of clubs. I've seen that. I've many people that I've
Absolutely,
seen.
that
So, like,
consecutive number
so
connection
it
is
is
very
it
strong.
is a super strong connection as well, and it's how the cards are played. Like, you can meet someone where the cards are a fabulous match, but it doesn't work out. Like, people are not, growing together, working on themselves, taking responsibility for their stuff. They blame the other person. There's so many things like that. You can also have people who aren't the best match in the cards who do the work, and then they actually stay together for a really long time because they like that, and they like the distance because maybe they're not like super close in the cards, but then they work on themselves, and then that works for them. So it's not like we can't predict things with these, but it's a great tool for guidance as to how to play the game and how to have the best relationship that you possibly can with somebody else.
It shows the cards show the dynamics, and in a way that I find simpler and easier than astrology or other systems. I've explored all the other systems. I find this one simpler, easier. It's visual as well. But I do want to emphasize, since we're talking about love connection and this show, Love Island, whoever, wait, we already moved on.
Oh, I'm
Melisha,
prepping for the next people. Militia.
this person, whoever she is,
Yeah.
Melisha and Dejan, that was actually a love connection. If we're going to really utilize the terminology of the Venus connection being the love connection, that was a love connection. So I'm not sure what happened. They didn't work out?
No, he went.
Oh,
He went back
he
to.
went back to Meg.
Yep.
So in that case, maybe the two of clubs codependency kicked in and he felt like he needed to be loyal and didn't want to break that bond. Two of clubs don't like to break a bond once they've made it. And yet he would have actually had a stronger love connection with Melisha.
Watching the show, I'm gonna say that he and Meg are a better connection, even though, like, 'cause in the cards, I understand what you're saying, and then watching the show.
Are we? I mean, are we talking about love or are we not? We're talking about love. and the love connection was with her. That's all. That they had the love connection. But you're right. Any connection can work. And we have over the years seen people married with all sorts of connections. It doesn't have to mean they have a love connection in order to stay happily married. But since the show is about the love connection, I think it's interesting that who he had the stronger love connection with, he didn't pick.
What's interesting, I could see maybe like him going back to, when you talk about codependent, going back to the familiar energy of the club, in her Ace of Clubs energy. Like,
well, you said the key word, which is familiar. From what I understand, and I did watch some of this, he was already partnered up with Meg. Yeah. And then this other woman came in, Melisha. If the reverse had been true, let's say he was already partnered with Melisha because of the way the show was, and that's who had picked him originally or whatnot, he would have stayed with her, I believe, just out of his two of clubs loyalty.
Oh,
and like codependent, like I'm not going to break the bond. But because he had already partnered with Meg, he already the two energy, which is his birth card, he already had that strong sense of partnership, loyalty, commitment. I don't want to break the bond. I don't want to break this partnership up. But yet, from what I remember, the Melisha woman, when she came in, there was sparks between them right away, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't remember seeing any sparks between him and Meg. There weren't the same kind of sparks, but they've like gradually like warmed up to each other. Whereas with Melisha, there was instant sparks, and that's what you would expect when you have that
when
love,
you have those connections,
the love connection.
Sure.
Because again, it's this chemistry that's happening energetically that we can't control. It's in the cards that way. So I think that if he had been with Melisha first, he would have stayed with her again out of the same loyalty and partnership.